Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies coming at you with this week's 3D printing video. Before I get into the video, I just want to say two quick things. One, the sponsor of today's video is Anvil Industries. They are the ones that provided the STL files for these amazing miniatures here, and they're the miniatures that I'm going to be painting in today's video. They provide you guys with amazing STL files every single month, and they change their theme every single month. My favorite aspect of it is the fact that all the parts are interchangeable, meaning you can take the heads, hands, weapons from last month and attach them to this month's miniatures to make all sorts of different customizable gangs or teams for various miniature games. The ones they provided STL files for last month allowed you to construct models from Starship Troopers or Stargate SG-1, and it was absolutely fantastic set of pieces. This month, they have gone a step further and they've given you access to basically the bad side of the SG teams, the Goa'uld, the Jaffa to be specific. So you can build those warriors from a bunch of different Egyptian god as well, loads of different headdresses and stuff, which I think is a fantastic choice. And something that I only realized after making the video that I praise this company for having interchangeable parts between last month and this month is that I could have taken the SG parts from last month and the Jaffa parts from this month and made an awesome accurate Teal'c model, and I didn't do it. So that's the next thing that I'm going to be doing with my free time, is creating that miniature, getting painted up and added to my miniature selection. To give you an example of how much I actually like these guys, each month I have to print and paint one miniature from these guys' company to show them off in a video, so on and so forth. I've been sponsored by them now for 3 months, meaning I should have 3 models built and painted. I have like 30. I really like the stuff. I keep printing it off. I keep making customizable bits and pieces and getting them painted up for different things, so it gets a big thumbs up from me. The second thing I wanted to talk about is the GKTWO, which is a resin printer sent to me a couple of weeks ago. And like these models, I of course have to make some content based around that. And with these guys, I had to make 4 videos. One was one primary video to show off what the printer was like, full specs, all the time, and then 3 videos where I just use it in a video. So I decided for this one, I decided at the beginning of that I would leave the full review to the end, and I would do 3 videos basically where it's just applied, so I would get some time with the machine learning how to use it before I do a full review, so I can give you an honest opinion. So obviously this is the second video that I've used it in. It is absolutely fantastic so far. I've had literally no issues. It's got so many bells and whistles on top of regular printers that I can't wait to share with you in its actual full-on review. The reason that I want to bring it up in today's video is because obviously this printer is a little bit more expensive than your regular printer because of all those bells and whistles. It can seem like it's stretched outside some people's comfort zone as it comes to cost, but to mitigate that, it is going to be its cheapest ever on the Black Friday sales on Amazon, and I really wanted to share that with you guys before it was too late. So between the 20th and the 27th of this month, this printer will be over €300 off, even more off if you have Amazon Prime. So if you have been looking to get into 3D printing, or you want to upgrade your current 3D printer to something a little bit more special, you're thinking about the GK2, which like I said, it's a great printer. Wait between 20 and 27, check it out on Amazon, save yourself a boatload of money. I'm talking €350 savings on then. I think it's absolutely incredible. And then just take that money and divide it into bottles of resin just to keep yourself stocked up low. All right, guys. All right, I hope that was a little bit informative. Sorry about the kind of extended intro. We're now going to get in and paint up some of the beautiful new Jaffa from Anvil Industries. Show you how those guys turned out and talk to you, of course, through 3D printing process. Thank you so much for listening to this lengthy intro. Let's get into the video. And just like the previous times using the GK2, obviously all of the parts came off of this print beautifully. I do love that snap action for removing the build plate. And if you're curious as to why the build plate is so fat on this particular printer, it's because it's a heated print bed. It means you can basically put this printer wherever you want and get some awesome prints out of it. So here's me admiring the beautiful parts that came off from Anvil Industries, the Jaffa pieces. Obviously, there's so many different bits and pieces to choose from, both male and female options every single month for every single character, which I think is a really nice touch. So you can make a decision as to what your gang is going to be made up of. As per usual, put some safety gloves on. You do not want this raw resin touching your skin. They've already been washed in my wash and cure station, but now I'm using some boiling water and some kind of a little bit of brute force and ignorance to remove all of the supports. they tend to pop off quite easily. But one of my favorite things about the Anvil Industries models is they have I call it an anchor support. I don't know what it's actually called, but one support on the miniature will be a little bit fatter, which will help it adhere to its raft a lot easier and not break off mid-print. Awesome. Obviously the prints don't come off their supports that easily, then it just takes a little bit more work. Here is one of the models fully built, and as you can see, they turned out pretty good. I really like it. It's kind of hard to show what they look like in the resin form. The bright lights and the glossy resin means it just kind of light bounces off it. So here it is sprayed. I sprayed it black and then sprayed it silver, as the Jaffa tend to be quite a lot of metallics. Now I'm going to break from that norm just a little bit here while I'm making this video. So I got a little bit of extra detail. To be honest, the actual costumes from like the first couple of seasons of the show, they were all silver. So I think that would be a pretty boring video. And obviously Anvil Industries has come away from that a little bit, more of the kind of later season style Jaffa with a lot of the like skin showing and stuff, but obviously keeping the gnarly headdresses. Here are the models I printed and sprayed last month, but I didn't get a chance to paint. This is my SG team. Obviously I went for painting the Starship Troopers miniatures last month as opposed to these guys, but I did get them printed and sprayed because I really do want to paint them. And I think when I print the Teal'c model from mixing last month's and this month's parts together, I'll get them sprayed up to match, and I'll paint that team as one solid thing, and I'll be very excited by that. All right, straight into Catachan flesh and painting that over the skin of the miniatures. Obviously, these are base paints, and I do go over the metallics quite well, but you do need to worry a lot because we are going to be shading the entire miniature later down the line. And if any other color is showing through, it will give a nice coverage over that, and then we'll highlight it afterwards, and it'll be perfect. And this is just a quick and easy step. Obviously making sure to pay attention. There was actually a bit on one of the models where for some reason, because I paint so much 40k models, I thought all the like musculature on the front of the model was part of his uniform. It's actually this guy here. See the way I didn't paint his back or his front? Thought it was part of his armor. Silly me. But I do go back and fix that later on, don't worry. I then grabbed some Retributor Armor Gold and just decided on what bits of the armor and detail that I wanted to pick out and do in gold. Now obviously I've done 3 of the headdresses here. Then obviously the big snake one, the bird one, and the dog one. I know they correlate to specific Egyptian gods, and they have different names. There's a serpent guard or Horus guard. I can never remember. The serpent guard is a very easy one to remember, but I can't remember the other ones in what order they're going. I could have looked it up, but I think it's funner when I ask you guys to help me out in the comments. Yeah. So there's obviously the bird, the snake, and the dog. Looks like it's a Jaffa joke in there somewhere. So yeah, because the reason I mentioned the 3 different headdresses, obviously the gold's going to go in different places on each of the headdresses. And obviously these headdresses are completely separate pieces, so if you didn't want to add them in, or if you want to use magnets to have them be removable, which I think would be super cool, for RPG systems and stuff like that. Having some stoic guards march into the room, and you could just add that sound, you know, the sound of the marching Jaffa on the spaceship deck plating, that will always be rattling around in my brain somewhere. I love that sound. Have them bursting into the room looking quite intimidating, and then the mask opens up to reveal who it is, and then you have your dialogue, and then you of course have a fight, and it'll be so cool. Grabbing some Black Templar contrast, I then painted any of the cloth parts of these guys in black. And once again, you can see this guy's chest and back are still not painted to match his skin tone. Whoops. Fleshed Hairs red was then used for the kind of bit of cloth hanging down the front. Just once again to add a little bit of a spot color. The ribbons going around their biceps as well ended up as red. I didn't quite get to all of them until the end when I realized it was a really good place to put a spot color. So don't worry if you don't see them all on them now. From here, we are going to add Agrax Earthshade to the entire miniature to shade it all down. And then while I'm waiting for that shade to dry, I thought I would just take a moment to once again talk to you about Anvil Industries and how they work with their monthly system. Because I do think it's quite a unique thing. I really like it, and with the amount of game systems out there now, they're becoming miniature agnostic. This is the kind of website that will give you all the bits and pieces that you need to create the teams and gangs that you're going to be required to have to play those games. Like you and your friends could all jump on Anvil Industries, buy parts, and create completely different and unique gangs, and then play in the game system of your choosing. After just washing it, I decided to go for a brown wash just to kind of tint the metallics the way I like it. It'll help with the layering process later on if the shadows are nice and dark. Okay, so as you can see, the link below will take you to the Anvil Industries website where you can see a whole bunch of different things they have available. And this is this month's Patreon, the Astral Kingdom Warriors. We all know who they're supposed to be. The Patreon is €10 a month. There's only one tier. €10 gets you all the bits and pieces that you want. I think it's a very reasonable price, the amount of work that these guys put in. But then obviously they have done months and months and months and months worth of bits and pieces. So going back to their actual website, you can see you can buy all of their different components individually, whether you want to just buy heads from one part from 1 month, you want to buy the torsos from another month, you want to buy this weapon pack, mix them all together. You don't have to go back and buy huge big collections of miniatures for 1 or 2 pieces. They can all be broken apart so you can literally get what you want and get the models looking the way you want them, which I think is a really fantastic way of doing it. Okay, for some reason I also, if you ask me, first off, when you think of a Jaffa warrior from Stargate SG-1, you think about what he's standing on, sand always comes to mind. I don't know whether that's because of the original movie or whether a lot of it was filmed in kind of desert locations. Even though I think if you think about it later on, it was a lot of spaceships and stuff like that. I just think it suits really well. So I did the desert theme for them. I then jumped up with a highlight color for the skin. Really nice warm tan brown color. Being very careful here. I think this is where I realized the guy's front and back weren't painted, and I had to once again go back in and paint his torso and his back with the skin color tones the whole way through again, which is a bit silly. Lead belcher paint was then brought back in, and I used this to highlight and layer up all the armor. And obviously with the headdresses, this is where I want to spend the most of my time. These are really standout features for these models. So I wanted to do a good job and make sure they look great. And that's why I went for that really dark shade of the brown, so that when I did paint the highlight color, as you can see, the highlights stand out so well. And it really does just scream, you know, what you want it to scream. I love it. I don't know about you guys, but I did grow up on Stargate SG-1. It was just the best thing ever. I love it, and these guys will always be an iconic bad guy for me. Although I don't think they ever won a fight ever in the history of the show. But a Mephiston red was used. I use the air just because it's pretty thin and it's great to work with. For the kind of tabardy tassels on the front. That's pretty much the last step that I will use in getting these guys painted up. Once I get that tidied up across all 3 miniatures, all the highlighting and layering is done. The gold is done, silver is done, skin is done, the black is done, red is done. The bases are finished off, where I end up with some absolutely fantastic miniatures. I've got a whole stack of photos that I want to show you now, just to give you an idea of what they will look like on the tabletop. I suppose it's just held up to the camera, which can sometimes be a little bit misleading when it comes to kind of the finished result. These guys were a lot of fun to do, and they have actually more god heads than this as well, so I potentially might go ahead and print off some more. If I was to run a game or an RPG style session with some SG teams, I would have absolutely no qualms about printing kind of 20 or 30 of these guys and painting them up. Maybe a squad in each of the gods. So here's what they will look like on the tabletop, the 3 guys finished up. I really like the final result. I actually like it more than I thought I was going to. When I started painting them, I was a little bit nervous about these guys. But that nerves were abated when I saw how well they shaded. And then, of course, a couple of pictures on a white background, as is tradition, to finish off the video. Give you guys a clear indication of just how nice these guys actually are. Like I said, if you want to check them out, links below. Okay guys, and there we have it. 3 absolutely awesome Jaffa miniatures. I chose to go for 3 different gods just to try out all the different parts. There is even more parts if you don't want to see the face inside the helmet. There's basically an armored head you can put on, and then the big cowl goes on top, so it looks a little bit more screen accurate to the TV show, which I think is absolutely cool. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a like. If you want to check out Anvil Industries, their monthly printing service, please check out those links. They will of course be shared in the description below. And if you're interested in the GKTWO 3D printer, links to that will be below as well. But like I said at the beginning, make sure you wait to between the 20th and the 27th, as you'll get absolutely unreal savings from Amazon. I will also leave links to those below as well. Thank you guys so much for watching the end of the video. Make sure that you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.